if trouble never hangs around when he hears this mighty sound.
Here I come to save the day.
That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way. Yes, sir, when there is a wrong to right, Mighty Mouse will join the fight. On the sea or on the land, he gets the situation well in hand.
So though we are in danger, we never despair, 'cause we know that where there's danger, he is there.
He is there on the land, on the sea, in the air. We're not worrying at all. We're just listening for his call.
Here I come to save the day.
That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way. We're not worrying at all. We're just listening for his call.
Here I come to save the day.
That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way.
11ish. Good morning. How is everybody? I have bits hanging out of my neck. What's that all about? My weird thing. Let me get one of them thing down the back. Oh, lost my head. Lost my side. I must remember to sit in the right place. Had a right nightmare getting on this morning again. Let me just lock this seat. Cheers, dude. Yeah, I had a lot of problems getting up this morning. I'll be honest. I went to bed about 3 o'clock and then woke up and it was like 6 o'clock. No, what was it? Like 6 o'clock. I woke up and looked at the alarm. I was like, oh god, go and fuck yourself. Like, I've literally had like 3 hours sleep, and then I got up about 8, and then literally looked at the clock and thought, no, I can have another hour. 9 o'clock is a good start. I can do that. I woke up at 10:30, like 35 minutes ago. It's just really bad when you live like when you have no like worries in terms of where you need to go, where you need to be, or anything like that. And you live like not off grid, because I'm not off grid. I'm like on the grid doing internet stuff. But like, yeah, it's difficult to get motivated. So I kind of now got myself to the headspace that as long as I'm up to do 11ish, this is a really good discussion actually about using social web tools to actually get your life together. Like literally, as long as I get up and I'm ready to go for 11 o'clock, the steps I have to go through to get this going is unreal. Somebody asked me the other day about putting a pre-prep list together. So what I have to do on pre-prep to get going for this is I reboot my iPad to make sure I can tether to it. Because sometimes overnight it just gets so slow that it loses connection. And then I reboot my machine, my main machine, which is the iMac. Then I use this piece of software called webcam settings to make sure my webcam is right. Like literally I can change it from different things which will look weird, look like blown out, and I've got different settings for different places in the caravan, so I know they work. So behind me at the green screen and over there in the window, etc., etc. So there's that. So I've got automatic settings for that. And then Blab at the minute has got this stupid problem where if you schedule a Blab, you can't record it. So I tried to fire that up, and then that didn't work because the virtual camera out setting in Wirecast wasn't working. So I had to physically change it to another setting and then restart it, and then that works. There's a bug there. So I'm like chief bug hunter of these things in the morning. So anyway, we're up and running. I bought some coffee yesterday in my little DM mug. Do you like my DM mug? D-mouse. The record button was missing yesterday on Blab. Frustrating. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. It's still missing if you schedule Blabs. So if you're doing a show on here and you've scheduled Blabs, then there is no record button pops up. I don't understand that. So I want to give you a bit of a crowdfunding update, because we all got together last night, Team Humble, online here on Blab, and we were having a chat about Tom's little project. Tom's got a little project where he wants a video making, and it got a little bit stressful, and luckily Dale picked it up. And the problem was that I can't deal with client information. I know it's only Tom, one of our advocates, the little advocates, But I get a little stressed out when there is no schedule or formula to the way that something's going to be. So like, luckily she firefighted that and sorted it out, as did Chloe, as did Megan, and it got sorted. But it made me think about how we can make that process better, because there's two things that's very similar for me and Dale, is that we like to optimize stuff. I'm going to jump into it, Alex. Welcome, Alex, by the way. And welcome to the people who are on the side that I don't even know. Sorry, we don't normally get like 6 people in. I normally record, I should give you a little bit of an update. I normally record a 20-minute show at 11 o'clock as a bit of a creative break. So if you are a creative anywhere, working in an office, and you're just chilling out and having a bit of time off from your creative day, you probably started at 7 o'clock or 8, 9 o'clock. You've got in. I find those first 2 hours to be super productive, because I'm raring to go and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and your head's just like laser focus. And then you get to lunchtime and it's like, oh God, now I've got to stop and think about lunch and where am I going to go for lunch? I should go out, and maybe I should just go and get something quick and like a sausage roll or a pasty, and just I'll walk with it in the bag and I'll get back and I'll have to do my work, and it's like I've got to do what I've got to finish. I've got to work. And I don't think there's anything like for creatives to like have a creative break. I don't want to go to a networking gig. I don't want to like walk around a room like with people just forcing business cards down my neck. But I think there should be more little breaks, especially if you're a virtual creative who like literally works alone, or like you work in a co-working space, or you work in a coffee shop. So, and you could literally roll this out across the country, across the world, really, about having virtual coffee breaks. And all little coffee shops could do it. They could just have a couple of chairs with a camera, with a little snowball mic, and just have a creative 11 o'clock break. And they could just tell us about their business, what's going on with the business, what's bad about the business, new stuff that they've got. Not as a sales pitch, but just as a relaxed kind of tune in. What are we doing? Like, we've had people in this morning. We had somebody who said, like, really enjoyed the food. Like, coffee sales are slow today, but we're selling more smoothies. Just, like, really relaxed. Just really relaxed. So that's the whole idea about elevenish. If you look on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ I think it's Rewind, R3Wind, I think. I started doing elevenish about 2-3 years ago, because I had my own studio in Nottingham, and it was in a basement, and I would literally be super excited to get in the studio. That I'd go in at 7 o'clock in the morning and then work all the way through till like 11 o'clock, and then I'd be like, I really need to go and get some food, but if I go out, then I'll probably spend an hour and a half just chatting to people around Nottingham. So I kind of like nipped out, grabbed my stuff, come back, sat in I had these awesome like Matrix style leather chairs that were really cool, and I'd just do a show. I'd literally do like a 20-minute show about, you know, a creative 11s. So in the UK we have a thing called 11s where you have tea. I don't know if most people have tea and a biscuit, but I have like tea and a biscuit normally. And just a break, like literally just stop and go, okay, let's take stock where we're at. So that's what it's about. So crowdfunding, so we came together about 7.5 weeks ago. I literally joined Blab and got into a Blab channel, just my very first Blab channel, and met a couple of people and sat in that Blab channel for 7 hours. Like, that's not like me at all, to like spend 7 hours in a chat room. Like, I was still busy. I still have things to do, but I was just compelled by. I've been round the block a few times with video chat. I got sort of Operator 11 and a bunch of other ones in between. 56 days ago, Mrs. Fact Checker Megan. If there's anything that I ever come out with or ever need detail on, Megan is there. Did you just literally hover over my name and look for that? That's awesome. So 56 days ago exactly, I sat in a Blab channel, and I don't know, call it, I mean, I'm going to use a cheesy word now, but call it serendipity. But like, I met a group of people that were like, oh my God, I could totally get on with these people. And it started to bring out this idea that I've been having for a long time about collaborative virtual co-working. So I love co-working spaces, but the problem with co-working spaces is they're either too small and people are so focused that they don't want to be a community as a group, like working together, or they're too big that, you know, you don't know which group to join, because you might end up with like 6 startups in one space and they're all like super focused, and it's kind of, how do I become like an advocate for that? And I've been to lots of co-working spaces around America and Europe, and they're either really, really classy, really, really smart, really like designery, architecturally, or they're just got like 150 people in, and they're just like, we've got to get our startup go, you know, like here's the free access code, like do test it, let us know, become our advocate, we need to like push this and make, you know, get loads of users on board so we can get acquired. And there's nowhere in between in the middle, like for people who are just either one man bands. I shouldn't say one man, but one person bands who just literally like trying to build up their own either marketing company or design company or whatever. And there's nothing in between. So like those 7 hours I spent on Blab, I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if like you could do virtual co-working through a browser? You could literally sit online in a browser and you could co-work with these people. Now, I do bits and pieces on Fiverr. And in 2011, January 2011, I did a bit of a test to see how much money I could make on Fiverr. So in 3 months, I made roughly $2,000 on Fiverr just doing website reviews. Now, it was a little bit ironic because what I did is I got a green screen behind me. That's why you've got like this thing behind me. And what I did is I had a thing called Desktop Presenter, which is from Wirecast, Telestream, company called Telestream, which allows you to broadcast your desktop. So I ran this little program on another computer and had the website of the potential client behind me. And then what I would do for 3 minutes is I would kind of chastise it for like 3 minutes. I would just like say, this is wrong, this is below the fold, there's no call to action, I don't like this makes no, it doesn't say anything, this image doesn't look right, it's out of perspective, the perspective's all wrong on it, I don't like the fade, I can't read it fast enough, etc, etc. So I would literally critique their website as a completely brand new user. And I ended up doing about 370 reviews. And I had the most weirdest selection of websites, let me tell you. But I made like $2,000 in 3 months, and I wasn't really working hard at it. I was probably doing about 6 or 7 reviews a day, and they would take probably about 5 minutes to record, so 3 minutes for the video, and then I would top and tail it, and then edit it if they wanted an intro on it or an outro on it and some audio on it. And once you've done your first 100 orders on Fiverr, you can start to increase prices because you go to level up, level 1, level 2, level 3. At level 2, you can actually start charging up to $50 and $100. So all of a sudden you had this thing where I went from $5 to people then selecting things like, I want an intro on the beginning, an outro, and then it was $40. So it started to pick up really quickly. And I started to realise that actually, if you remove the problem of broadband and you just have super fast internet, and one of the places that I used to work at in Derby, they have gigabit, which is ridiculous. I can't wait to get back to it. But what happens when there is no lag? What happens when it is full HD and we do live video to each other? What happens then in terms of work? So I've been thinking in terms of Blab and something like Blab. Now we've got this new format, which is WebRTC, which is the way that video is coming across. There's no Flash plugin. You know, like how does that work for work? So imagine that you had like a module or a drop-in that was either above the messaging or above the Twitter feed that could be somebody submitting some work to a group. And that's kind of why we built Team Humble, is that we've got a group of people who want to work together, they want to collaborate together, they want a piece of the pie together, and as a group we come as a stronger force because we bring different skill sets. We might be video editors, audio editors. Dale did an amazing voiceover and I did a little video edit which took me like 15 minutes. And the best thing about it is that you could have a client in here, and the client literally could be anywhere in the world sitting at the end of the desk with their sort of layout, their specification. And then we could have the other 3 people sitting there as well. They don't have to wear suits. They could be sitting at home doing whatever. And the client pitches, and we literally sit in here and we co-work with each other. We did it last night. We had a Google Doc with loads of people like feeding into it. So it got me thinking last night that we need some like official documentation. So there's a great website that I use. I'm just going to check my time. There's a great website I use called Typeform. Now, a lot of people would probably use something like... not type mail, can't believe it did that. Typeform.com. If you've done like what is it, Wufoo for the longest time was my favorite form collection, which is like if you've ever tried to do forms on your website, they can be a bit of a pain, or they're an additional module to put onto WordPress and all that sort of stuff. But they haven't really got, apart from just receiving the email, they haven't got anything, you know, most of them don't have anything in terms of analytics or mailing or stuff like that. And I love Wufoo, WUFOO.com. I think I've got like an unlimited package on there from way back. Wufoo is amazing because they literally took all the complication out of that, and you can fire it into all the mailing lists and, you know, campaign monitor and all that stuff. But it's just got a little bit old in the tooth, and it's not really been updated for the newer web. Services like that tend to kind of die off. So I've been looking at different ways of doing forms, And typeform is really like, it's beautiful. It just works everywhere. They have templates for different stuff. So I'm thinking of building a series of different templates for Team Humble, so that we can take for quotes and just jobs, not even just work, but like when somebody comes up with an idea for a concept for a video or for a trip or for crowdfunding, that people can literally fill in the form, and then we can take the feedback from that and then get into a huddle. So we use a thing called slack.com, which is like a little chat room thing, like IRC, if anybody remembers Internet Relay Chat from back in the day. And then we can deal with it. So yeah, the one of the things that we were working on is the crowdfunding. So we are trying to get to New York in December, and I'm trying to think of the URL. So it's GoFundMe humblenyc. I'm going to put this into the chat. And we've already had some people, we've already had a person, should I say, has already put some money into it for December. And the idea is that it's going to be 4 of us together. It's going to be Chloe, Megan, myself, and Dale. Dale's already stateside, so she'll be doing the logistics of like pickups and transport. Chloe and Megan are working on the destinations and the locations of the soup kitchens, the subway system, how we're going to get around. And the idea is, as the whole moniker of Team Humble, is that we want to go and help. Like, I believe that we've got this little collective of helpers who have got their own little process, they've got their own little businesses, they've got their own little things going on, but they're collaboratively coming together. And I think there's just so much takeaway from working like that as a squad, as a team. So the idea will be that we'll go around New York, probably 7 or 8 hours a day, probably like 4 out of the 5 days, maybe 3 out of the 5 days, depends how tired we get in trudging around New York, because it can really take it out of you. And I want to go to as many soup kitchens as we can. I want to find out where they hang out. I want to see if there's any pushback from public libraries in terms of letting them in because they can't afford coffee or the way they look. And I want to capture as many conversations with these people who are willing to talk, because obviously a lot of people don't want to be on camera. I also want to take away, demystify the thing that it's not just alcoholics and drunks and gamblers that become homeless. There's lots of other reasons why somebody becomes homeless or destitute or outside of the system. And I just think there's a lot of work that can be done on that score. And why I'm interested in this is mainly because a lot of the video blogging and projects that I've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years have had some kind of either philanthropic or kind of emotional social connection that's really impacted me and made me look up and go, hang on a minute, I love this technology, but how fast are we going into all of this stuff? And I always hear the expression, you're only one paycheck away from being homeless. And access has been really difficult for me over the last year because I live in a caravan in a field. Yes, that's true. And I'm connecting to the internet via 4G. Without that 4G, I am off the grid. Literally, like, nobody knows I exist. I could have all this digital stuff on there, but if I'm not adding to it, contributing to it, taking Instagrams, all that stuff, then I don't exist. And in some ways, a lot of these people are outside of the system. And I've met a lot of people who are outside of the system who are incredibly smart. I'm going to have a drink. Incredibly smart, incredibly inspiring, and deserve like a mouthpiece to be able to talk about what they're doing in their life. But also, they're exactly what we're looking for in terms of like these co-working spaces and what I'm doing at 11 o'clock with the elevenish and everything else. They're perfect for getting people into a space, educating them using free Udemy like courses about the web tools, how to use Twitter, how to use Pinterest, how to use all these different things. And they become a mobile workforce that can be used, assisted around a city. And they can also help themselves build their own personal brand up as well. And the personal brand's a horrible word, but I can't think of a better set of words. And it just mobilizes them. And imagine if you had these people collectively coming together, 10 of them in a public space for 2 hours a day, and they've got this series of documentation where they can just literally fill in the form and say, you know what, this homeless thing is a problem. Somebody died last week because, some woman who is homeless but has a child and she's a priority. And, how do we make that happen? How do we put a lens on that stuff? And I think the reason for this, for me, is that we're losing all of our social spaces. So we need to find a way that we can use these tools for that. I hate personal branding things. It's a horrible soulless term. Absolutely. Also, social media. Like, whoever came up with social media as a set of terms needs a complete shoot in the head. I like to say it's sociable. As in, I like to be sociable with my media. I like to think that a conversation I had in 2009 with Chelsea Rustrom, who's one of the eight or 10 people who does the sharing economy, I like to think that I had some kind of influence on that, because she she basically tweeted at the end of the day, I just met Phil Campbell, I think he's from the future. I went to South by Southwest for one purpose, and that was to capture stories and do storytelling. There was no agenda, no brand had sent me. There was no, I had to pay for my own flight and everything, but I shared everything, because for me, these tools, especially the free tools, they're enabling, they're empowering for us, but also for other people who might be outside of society, who can't chat, who haven't got confidence, and they want to connect with people. They literally want to live their life. They don't want to exist within it. They actually want to break out of it and live. So it's a permission thing for me. I love the idea that if you can make stuff and audio and always I always get questions like, why do you do it? What's it for? It's like, it makes me fucking feel good for a start. I enjoy being able to use these tools. They're just like tools like playing in a sandbox when you're a kid, Anyway, I'm coming up to 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure I've gone over it. It's 21 minutes. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick update about this week with the crowdfunding. We had £200 out of the £1,800. We need 3 flights, which is £350 for each person, and then the Airbnb. It sounds like a hell of a lot of money, but I know there's going to be a lot of value there. We're building Twitter lists of all the soup kitchens when we get to New York City, so they can all talk together. Ideally, I would like to impact maybe anywhere between 500 to 1,000 people. So as long as I could literally over 3 or 4 days bump into that many people, I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback. I know a lot of people go, I don't use the internet. It's the least of my problems. But I just want to try. I just want to be able to give that little coupon and say, there you go, there's a course on a public Wi-Fi somewhere, instead of just sitting around all day. Like, don't have those depressive thoughts. Go to the library, learn something new, reconnect with people out there. You might have something to offer, they might have something to offer you. I watched a project probably about 4 years ago where a digital agency, and also this happened in South by Southwest, which was debatable because they kind of enabled homeless people by turning them into a wireless hotspot, which was degrading from my perspective. But the notion that they were trying to achieve with it was from a solid place, but the way it came across was just weird. But I think we can reconnect that in a different way. And I've seen agencies buy 4 mobile phones with a full-on data plan, giving them Twitter accounts, showing them how to take photos and check in, and you get to see people like what their day involves, like going to here, picking up these bottles, taking them back to this place, 25 cents. And I just think there's something useful there at street level, like street level advocates for a city, especially if the city was smart enough to put in like Bluetooth 4 sensors around the city that they can either go to or scan, or on Monday morning they go to a certain QR code, scan that, and it has a different task for them. They complete that task, they get some credits. I don't know. I just think there's something really powerful there that's not been using yet. Anyway, that's me for today. It is 11:26. I have gone totally over today. I am going to put this on. I have recorded it, so you can watch the replay. If you go to my profile, blab.im/Phil Campbell, there is a bunch of videos from elevenish there. Also, if you go to youtube.com/R3Wind, there's all the high quality versions. I'll put the high quality version up today. If you want to follow some of the Team Humble members, there is blab.im/Megan Hayes, blab.im/Chloe. I don't know what Chloe puts her blab out. Let me have a look. She's going to put it in the chat anyway. C4 Compete on Twitter. Also, twitter.com/Dayleo, DAYLEEOO. Who else? There's a few other people as well. But if you follow any of those people on Twitter or Blab, you'll get an update when we do our show. Do a search on Blab as #TeamHumble, and you'll find our stuff. We do our things on Friday night. We do a little Friday night show at 10 p.m. GMT. And that's it. I will catch up with you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Bring your coffee. Let's hang out. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.